Let's do one more example here. We've only done one example so far of using our calculator to find the least square regression line, so let's do one more. So the table below gives the per capita gross domestic product, the GDP, and average life expectancy for countries in Western Europe. Find the least square regression line, so that's an abbreviation you see. Sometimes you just see the LSR, but LSRL is least square regression line, to predict life expectancy based on the GDP, the gross domestic product. So we have some different countries here. We have their per capita, per person, gross domestic product, and then we have the life expectancy here. Okay. I'm not sure what the units are on these, maybe thousands of dollars. I didn't write those down, but remember that the units don't matter as long as you're consistent in units when you're looking at the correlation and so forth. But just as an example here, and whatever the units are, and I do think they're thousands of dollars, but you have your per capita GDP and then the life expectancy. So I need my calculator. And we're going to do stat, edit, and I'm going to go up to the name of the list. I have my previous example in there, so I'm going to hit clear and enter. Go up to L2, clear and enter, and then type all of these in, 21.4 and so forth. Okay, so type all those in as I did while I had the video paused there, and then I'm going to hit second mode, go back to the home screen. Let's go ahead and look at the scatter plot just for practice. Okay, so second, y equals, everything's already set up from a previous example, but we got it on. We got the scatter plot, L1, L2. I'm going to do the little squares. Actually, I'll change just to show you. I usually do the little squares. I'll do the plus signs. It's just whatever symbol you want to use. Do zoom 9 to pick a window that shows them all, and there's my scatter plot. And then if we want the line, we can do stat, calc, run number 4 or number 8. I'll do number 8, L1 and L2. I'm going to go ahead and store my equation. After I do this one, I'll show you how to do it if you have the calculator that doesn't display like this. So let's see, variables, y variables, functions, y1. Calculate. So we got a strong positive correlation here between GDP and life expectancy, which if you think about it, and there's probably a lot of lurking variables like healthcare and so forth, but it makes a lot of sense to get a strong positive correlation there. While we're looking at it, the R squared is about 0.66, so about 66% of the variance here in life expectancy is explained by our model. And our model is 68.7 plus 0.42x, or however much rounding we want to do. I stored it, so it put my equation with like 10 decimal places or something, a lot of digits there. We can graph it and see what it looks like. Okay. Let me just do one more thing before I quit here. I'm going to do second and enter and bring it up. Clear this out. So some of you have calculators that are a little older that may not give you the menu that mine does. If that's the case, when you select linear regression, it pops up on the screen like this. If you want to store the equation, you have to first tell it the L1 and L2. So you've got your command, you have to tell it where the lists are. So second and 1 to get L1, there's my X list, comma, above the 7 here. Second and 2 to tell it L2, and then comma, and now I tell it Y1, which you do variables, Y variables, function, Y1. That's what you have to do if you want to store it on a calculator where you don't have the menu there. You have to tell it to do a linear regression, X list, Y list, and then tell it Y1, and it'll store it in Y1. And you hit enter, and it'll do it. You get your information, hit Y equals, and there's the equation stored.